So I'll say this much. What an exhilarating 20 or so hours it's been. Of course, Donald J. Trump is the 47th president of the United States. I couldn't be more thrilled. I'm telling you that much. I never lost the faith since the 2020 election. It feels like it has been the 4 longest years of my life. And finally, I think like hundreds of millions of Americans, I can take a reprieve, take a deep breath, go, all right, we got this. Let's move on to the next episode. I'm Matt Levine, and welcome to the Red Dawn Media channel. Check out all the content you'll see on there, of course. I'll ask you to subscribe. You can like if you like. If you don't like, you don't like. What can I do? But again, I very much like the 47th president of the United States, this dude right here. Donald J. Trump with that Make America Great cap on. And what a historic victory it was yesterday. A resounding victory, you might even want to call it. And I'll make some sports references. There's no doubt about that. Like they do in sports, a good old-fashioned ass-kicking. A landslide. I think Stevie Nicks sings that song. I won't dare sing it for you, but what a great song. Next time you're around the jukebox, which who knows what it would be. If I think about it, when the hell was the next time I'll be around the jukebox? But that's the suggestion I make for you and yours truly to celebrate the victory by Trump. And how do you kind of capsulize or compartmentalize this victory? I guess I try to do it throughout the day and thinking of things that I celebrated throughout my life in different levels or waves of importance. Of course, there's for me graduating college. What a hustle and grind that was, but somehow I managed to get a degree. Then there's things like getting the job that you strive for. In my case, in my broadcast career, a few jobs I auditioned for, beat out the competition. You rolled up your sleeves, you put in the elbow grease, and you worked. So there are milestones you hit, and then there are things you celebrate, like the last major sports team that I root for to win a world championship, the 2012 New York Giants. And then in 2016, I learned there's a new type of celebration, a political celebration, which has all types of changes that can alter your life in many different facets. And that's when Trump entered the scene. For me, Trump was Trump. I grew up in the New York City area. I remember when he owned, I'm dating myself, a USFL football team featuring Doug Flutie at quarterback, and number 34 from Georgia, Herschel Walker in the backfield. This was an exuberant entrepreneur. And then he finally decided to go for president, and who can ever forget taking that leisurely ride down the golden escalator in the Trump Plaza in New York with his hands out saying, hey, look what I accomplished. That was then, this is now. And what we have now, that was definitely the greatest, I think, political feat in my life. Maybe the greatest victory ever, because as I'm alluding to, it had so much of a bearing on America and the way that you live your life as an everyday Joe or a worker bee Matt. But this one, holy cow. The return the entire world has been waiting for. President Donald J. Trump, 45, 47. There you see it again. All the red compared to the blue, the rad left states. No surprises, really. You get Arizona gray, still trying to figure out what's up with Arizona. Here's a suggestion for Hobbs, the governor of Arizona, and her elected officials. Take a trip down here to the free state of Florida, hang out with Governor Ron DeSantis and his staff, and see how you get blankety blank done. Florida tabulates the vote. You're in, you're out. First of all, you show an ID, which I proudly displayed. And you're in and out within 10 minutes, and you take the Scantron, they used to call them, right? Your bubble, the bubble in circles, your sheets, which were 2 in Florida. You put them in the machine. It goes around like a clock, and then it tells you it's confirmed. check mark and put the other one in. Same thing happens. And then you get your sticker, which I'm going to show you in a moment. And then you're on your way. And you did your civic duty. And speaking of which, every time I vote, I feel the way I should feel, like an American that's doing my civic duty. I abide the law, I pay the taxes, and I have a gracious and healthy respect for all those members of the armed forces, past and present, that have put their asses on the line, so I have that opportunity to go to the voting booth and make my choice. And I did so yesterday and doing my part to make America great again. There you go, right? 3 stickers. 2 out of 3 with those. Really 3 for 3. Why bring up 2020? Let's just celebrate 2024 and kind of allude back to 2016 and then 2024. The experiences leading up to this incredible experience. One for the ages. Now this hat, which I'm going to go backwards again, King Griffey Jr. style, may have to be retired in what I call the Freedom Corner. That's in one of my bedrooms, kind of building on it, but you get the drift. And you can see up top there's a couple hats. It's time to retire my Make America Great Again hat. Talking about retiring. Well, we can retire her. Look at him right there. Fight, fight, fight. What an iconic image. As you see the caricatures, the sketches here, the drawings. And you see Kamala, and she's looks like a puppet. That's what she is, a buffoon. But again, on the word of retiring, we get to retire her. We get to retire both of them, including that weirdo. They had the nerve to call JD and Trump weird. That's the biggest freak ever. Talk about a bad decision. One from the gut, Kamala said. Bye-bye, Tampon Tim. See ya. The other one they call weird, Vance, right? Meanwhile, pick your fighter. And that was kind of the theme from the beginning. The one who enlisted in the Marine Corps after 9/11 was deployed to Iraq. Then you get Walsh, quit when his unit was deployed to Iraq, lied about his rank in the National Guard, and that set the tone for what a creep Tim Walsh was. In this historic 2024 election, we can retire him, we can retire Kamala, and we can point to the future with our leader, Donald J. Trump. What a campaign he ran. Stuck to the issues, and towards the latter stages of the campaign, the last weekend of the rallies, right? He did what? 4 on Monday, 3 on Sunday, and then Saturday he was running like a chicken without a head all over the U.S., and Trump forced one. He stuck to the issues, and he started asking that question. He said it this way: Let me start by asking you, were you better 4 years ago? Right? That's the question you needed to ask. No. Prices are out of the roof. I went to go get a thing of deodorant the other day, right? And of course, when you say deodorant, what's the natural thing to do? It's not that bad. It shouldn't be for the $5 thing of Right Guard. I saw the other brands, some of them around $10. The fancy Axe or Axie, whatever it is. I've never gotten to that brand, but that one was hovering around $12 for deodorant. I think I actually paid on sale like $3.69, but it was $5 and change. So, in other words, I went for the cheap stuff with a name brand that hopefully doesn't have me stinking after a few hours. That's the case. But the issues at hand, things like that. The price of everyday items, gasoline, immigration, the borders. What borders? Non-existent. All kinds of people coming in, unvetted. 13,000 criminals out of the millions have been identified as shady people you don't want walking around the U.S. from all kinds of countries that unloaded their gangs like Venezuela on America. And we've seen them take over the apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado, and the Haitian migrants take over the Springfields, Ohios, and and so on and so forth, in Logansport, Indiana. The country's a friggin' mess. Those were the issues that Trump stood on with his platform. The other one, you know the deal. Couldn't answer a question, cackled her way. She's a selected choice. Absolutely no respect for her. America never liked her from the beginning. Now we get to retire her. Do you get to retire the rad left? No. I mean, look at this one. She doesn't stop. She's still pecking away like a friggin' woodpecker. She still wants to go after Trump. Right? The Attorney General there in New York, Letitia James. So they're still going to try to take Trump down any which way they can. I mean, you can't retire the rad left. But you bet you can try to work your tail off the next 4 years to drain the swamp as close as you can to being permanently drained. Not quite where you can build the land development on it, but where there's no alligators and there's very little water. Drain it almost complete. The shadiness will always be around. If it's not him, it's not her. Again, well, you're going to have her. But now's a golden opportunity coming off an historic win, just like the one in 2016, where 45, now 47, rode down that golden escalator. This is a chance to really hit the reset button in America and get things cooking. And it doesn't hurt that you have the House, right? Senate, Congress, you have them red as all get out. It was a true red wave yesterday, what we thought we'd get in 2022. America jumped on the Trump train. 1,000%. And it was like a Mike Tyson knockout. That landslide. Trump stuck it to Kamala, stuck it to Biden, stuck to the other detractors like this one.
Donald Trump was willing to sacrifice our capital to allow law enforcement officers to be beaten and brutalized in his name.
Victory was claimed. They said it couldn't happen. How about that? Cover of the New York Times. I'm sorry, the New York Times. God forbid the New York Times would ever do that. The New York Post, the nation's oldest newspaper. The beloved New York Post. I'm sorry to confuse you with the propagandist New York Times. Want to see some other headlines? Well, I got one other one in addition to the Post. That's a Star Advertiser in Hawaii. World leaders, dignitaries, they celebrated Trump's win. And Jeff Bezos, big congratulations to Donald Trump on decisive victory. Trump calls Indian Prime Minister Modi to celebrate spectacular victory. It's interesting. I read that article. That's the title. But it was Modi in the article, they said, who called Trump. So I read it back twice. And I looked, and I was like, huh. But an historic win, and the world recognizes it. Talk about creeps, right? I talked about this one. Well, how about this creep? He even recognizes it because all of a sudden, some of the detractors, Letitia's not going away, but he is. Special counsel Jack Smith taking steps to wind down federal cases against Trump. All of a sudden, the cases they tried to take him down with will get tossed. 94 felony charges. Trump spent 6 weeks in that filthy, disgusting, blankety hole courthouse in New York, wasting his time, all that taxpayer money. Right? Think all that money, millions of dollars that could have gone to help others that need it in New York, instead of bringing these bogus charges. Tried to bring him down with the 94 counts, tried to bring him down with the 2 impeachments, the raid on Mar-a-Lago. What else? The 2 assassinations. How can we ever forget the 2 assassinations? Right? That wackadoodle in Florida. Somewhere here I've got a video of that creep. I mean, They killed the first one in Butler. And this weirdo is hanging out in the trees in a golf course near Mar-a-Lago and waiting to get a shot at Trump with his assault rifle and other gear. He had been there for a half a day casing out or hanging out in the blind. There he is. What a blankety piece of blank garbage. Anyway, and then on top of it, of course, you have the mainstream media supporting. Talk about garbage. This piece of garbage and Kamala as a wing for the Democratic Party, their vehicle to get propaganda out. Talk about that remark right there. Biden calls Trump supporters garbage while condemning Tony Hinchcliffe remarks. That was hard to believe it, right? About a week and a change ago, Biden called the U.S. Supporters of Trump garbage. And it was one of those that's right up there in the ranks with deplorable. And I think in a lot of ways, time will tell. Maybe we'll never know the full story, but that was Sleepy Joe's way of sticking it back in Kamala's back for basically pulling off a coup, kicking Joe to the corner, and Kamala leapfrogging in his place. That's something for the Democrats to review, analyze, and for the history books to tell. Right now, I don't care. Because the rad left, you're out. Right? They are gone, but they did certainly leave President Donald J. Trump and his soon-to-be-named cabinet and his administration a big old mess. Those 2 bullet points, I think, summarize it best. This is a recent New York Post headline not too long ago. Biden tries to spin world chaos in speech to UN. U.S. debt tops 100% of GDP, first time since World War II. If there are 2 bullet points that summarize the other issues I brought up, or a headline, that summarizes the whole friggin' administration by these corrupt losers. Meanwhile, the mainstream media, I mentioned how they're in the rad left's corner, right? All the swamp monsters get to use the rad left media, like MSNBC. Take a look at their headlines today. Trump's been reelected, but now we know exactly who he is. Well, you should. And who exactly is he? A Nazi? A white supremacist? Hitler Jr.? We know. Blah, blah, blah. Russia, Russia, Russia. Trump moves closer, the second headline, to evading criminal consequences. Yeah, okay, whatever. Look at this again, right? I'll come back. Did it really matter, the criminal charges? Look at that map. Did people really give a crap about the criminal charges? No. And then the last headline, what I will tell my daughter about Trump's 2024 win. That's what I'm seeing the spin from the rad left propagandist / wannabe journalist on down to the rad left libtards that make up this world we live in. And thank God, there's not enough of them. How do I say this? Thank God there's more smart people than dumb ones in America. So the minority is in the libtards, but they're taking, let me go back to it, they're taking kind of this this talking point, or this is their theme they're hopping on. What will I tell my daughter about Trump's 2024 win? And that kind of spins into the misogynist of Trump. This is a guy that talked about grabbing women by the blankety blank. He has no respect for women, da-da-da-da-da. Go look at the totals of women who voted for Trump. It's just their last thing to hang their hat on before they have no choice but to bow down to the 47th president of the United States. Again, all the levels of government were riding a red wave yesterday. And Trump's not running for re-election. This time, he's going to learn from the mistakes that were made in the past administration. If there's anyone that learns from his mistakes and does it better the second time around, it's Donald Trump. Or the third time around. Look at this election, right? Let me show it one more time. Does he learn? Win? lose, asterisk next to that loss, but win, lose, win. You see a pattern? He just gets better. You knock him down, he dusts himself off, and he gets better. And that includes if you want to fire a couple of bullets at him. He finds a way to fight, fight, fight. And whether he took the steps to reach the everyday man and minorities and women and Hispanics and so on and so forth, he did it because he's a marketing genius. Worked at McDonald's. You see him work the fryer, right? He made his point. Still can't really find definitive records that Kamala ever worked at McDonald's. Another aspect of Kamala being a McFraud. I thought I retired Kamala. I guess not. Or Trump was able to reach the everyday man not only by working the fryer, but hopping in a garbage truck. He was able to reach America and show them that he cared about them. And I'm one of you. I may be an extravagant, entrepreneurial billionaire, but I'm with you. And that's what he's preached since the beginning of this political revolution with MAGA. Make America great again. I'm here on your best interest, and that's what We the People stands for. So it's interesting. You take a look around the rest of the world, right? Well, you're damn right, like Aretha used to sing, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. That excess of evil, you know they're blankety blank their pants right now because Big T is in the house. And Big T doesn't play. Nope. He does not play around with the axis of evil or anyone else. You know, I'm looking at all these different slides I have to share with you, and you got a point right here. You just kind of look at them and comes to mind this one. Allude to Vance before, but you know, in the end, what a genius pick. I liked JD from the beginning. I liked his movie. I still want to read the Hillbilly Elegy book. I love his story. I love his attitude, and I love the fact he is not afraid to take on anyone. Trump even called him a bulldog. What a difference maker that was. And taking a guy that you know, God forbid, anything happens, you can come off the bench as the VP and become the vice president and have the cojones to tell the axis of evil to sit your ass in the corner just like Big T. And I enjoyed this election season almost as much as I did, I think, in 2016. 2020 was weird. We know that. COVID and, you know, there was just a feeling of, and I watched it happen, of slim shadiness. And that this could be rigged, and it was. And things got ugly, but this felt genuine, like 2016. And I'm sharing that picture of my flag. That proudly was displayed out there during this election season 2020. 2020, listen to me, 2024. I don't have the 2016 or 2020 flags. I still have them. They're torn to shreds, but I don't have them up here to share with you. Excuse me, that's okay. I'm sharing these with you. Speaking about sharing, let's play a clip of Donald J. Trump last night giving his election victory speech in West Palm Beach. And then I'll go to lying Kamala right after. And she was at Howard University. But let's start with Trump. Take a look, take a listen to 45 turned 47 last night in West Palm.
For your family and your future, every single day I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body, and I will fight for you, for your family and your future. Every single day I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body, and I will fight.
There you go. There you go. I might have got it in there twice, right? It was lining up. Itchy trigger finger. What are you going to do? By the way, I'm going to talk about the field work I've done, because I haven't really done much in the studio. Love doing it, but you get a little rusty, right? Here's Kamala today speaking at her alma mater, Howard University. Now, a little color or context into this one. Interesting how Kamala last night completely skipped her election speech in the wee hours of the morning. Basically, she knew she was in trouble and she had lost, but she didn't want to concede to Trump. The sore loser went to sleep. She had one of her campaign folks speak to the crowd out there in what looked like, a mall area by where they were, or a ballroom, where they were on the campus or in that general vicinity of Howard, to come out and say, hey, go to sleep. We're done. She's not going to talk till tomorrow. And then they set up a time today around 4 o'clock, and she spoke for 12 minutes. Nothing great. It was exactly what her campaign was. Vanilla, generic, blah, unlikable. Take a look, take a listen.
You just heard Vice President.
Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power.
There you have it. I think I'm officially done talking about Kamala. But I had to share it with you, right? I had to share it with you. Now, it's amazing when you talk about sports teams, and I think about the only time that in my life, and I date myself again here, but where there's been a marriage of sports and patriotism and a political message that was sent to a rival. And this is the case of the 1980 U.S. Olympic team. And like yesterday, I thought of them because that's when I learned at a young age to believe in miracles. The U.S. going through the latter stages there of the Cold War, right? With Russia and a bunch of underdogs against a professional, world-beating Russian team that had destroyed NHL All-Star teams in scrimmages. So a team of young, pure amateur, U.S. undersized collegiate players took on these big, strong Russian professionals, and they pulled off a thriller of all times and really gave the United States a boost. And what were some tough times is President Reagan was taking over for Jimmy Carter. So a lot of the, I think, political situation that was going on then pertains to now. But, what bridged it all together then was the 1980 U.S. Olympic men's, well, there was no women's back then, just U.S. Olympic gold medal hockey team with that improbable victory. I thought of them again yesterday when 45, now 47, took it down, defeated this bum. That's the President of the United States. Not for much longer, January 20th, Trump will be inaugurated into the White House as the 47th President of the United States. Enough of him. Enough of her. And let's just focus on him. Because right now, America needs a hero. And you feel that civic duty hit you every 4 years. And you go out there and you vote and you make it happen. And again, this is the last time for Trump. This is it. I'm going to retire this hat. I'm going to enjoy the next 4 years. And I am going to support our president in his efforts to make America great again. Welcome back to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Donald J. Trump. On behalf of myself and the other 300 million or so Americans, I can say that it's great to have you back as our commander and chief.